Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the political situation as far as the political parties gearing up for the elections are concerned. Of course, we saw the press conference as Mia Shehbaz Sharif Saab spoke and confirmed that Mia Nawaz Sharif will return as scheduled on the 21st of October. The ramifications of this development legally also, as he is now scheduled to return, and also for the political party as a whole as it gears up for the elections in late January. We'll also be talking about delimitation and whether that will be ready in time for the date that the Election Commission, the tentative date of the end January. We'll be talking about this. We'll also a little later on be talking about the deportation of the Afghan refugees and its ramifications for Pakistan. Of course, as Pakistanis, as a country, we've always stood by our Afghan brethren in time of crisis as a humanitarian, of humanitarian assistance to them. But its effect on Pakistan and the deportation itself, the stance of the government, all of that today on Perspective. I have with me Irfan Ghauri, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for being with us today. We also have with us Dr. Abid Abbasi, who's a political analyst. Thank you for joining us today. We'll also be joined by Dr. Khaqan Najeeb, who's former advisor to Ministry of Finance. Irfan Saab, as far as politics at this time is concerned, of course, political parties are eyeing end January. First of all, do you think that, the Election Commission has not confirmed a particular date, but they've said end January? As far as delimitation is concerned, as far as census is concerned, do you think that there are chances it may go forward from there also?
Mahrukh, when these assemblies were dissolved, before that, the government, the PDM government, they opted to approve the census, the population census, and then CCI also they approved it. So it's legal and constitutional requirement now that the delimitations, they have to be completed before the next polls. That is a legal, this is what the legal minds say. So this process of delimitations, it's quite a tricky process, and usually what happens is that once you change the constituencies, then the people they approach the courts and they challenge that.
There's likely to be litigation.
And litigations, and those litigations sometimes if they are not resolved within time, then there can be delays. But as far as Election Commission, I mean, the good thing is that earlier there was lots of uncertainty, but since now they have said that this process would be completed before time. So let's hope that what the Election Commission has said now, they would be acting as per their commitment. Also, it would depend on the political parties as well, because if you want to unnecessarily delay the things, and when things go in the courts, and if the people, I mean the litigants, if they try, and our legal system sometimes many hiccups they come. So if there is no such thing, and the political parties they show,
you think it's likely that it will be end January as the election?
As the election. This is what I think we have to see if the things go as per the way the things have been going.
We also have a Supreme Court at this time. Of course, the current Chief Justice Abid Saab, who's also said a taken a very vociferous stance on the issue of delay. And I think, frivolous litigation, all of those things. In that kind of a background, it may be possible to, actually for the Election Commission to manage end January. But as far as overall the political parties are concerned, what are you looking at? Because, there's not going to be a seat adjustment. It seems the parties have chosen to go their own way. What kind of a scenario are you anticipating now?
Thank you very much. Yes, as you have said in your question, that the situation, about the political parties, the parties are not gearing up in a way that could be expected from them just after a few months. The election date is prescribed by the Election Commission. But on the same, time, there are some vices coming for the delaying the elections. For instance, Maulana Fazlur Rahman has said that in some constituencies, rather a good number of constituencies, there would be, the minus temperature, and it won't be, the smooth functioning of electioneering in those areas. Similarly, former Prime Minister Abid Abbasi has also said, and some other voices coming from within, PMLN. For instance, Rana Sanaullah once said that most probably the elections would be held in the month of February. So if we go, to watch this scenario in of the electioneering, the election campaign and the seat adjustment, as you said, we haven't seen anything like that. That the political parties are seriously planning and campaigning and making sort of arrangements for the elections. So still there are some ifs and buts. Yes.
That's what I want to come to. You think that overall there is, an air of doubt that still persists as far as, the election date, as far as the elections actually happening? Is it just the rumors that, are a part of our political process anywhere, or is there more to it in your opinion?
There are so many people in the capital. They are very much, convinced that the elections won't held in a few months. Most probably it would be, some more delay in the process of election. But this is a constitutional requirement. But unfortunately, if we go back and talk about the provincial elections in Punjab, in KP, the constitution was not upheld. The constitutional requirement was not fulfilled in those elections. And people are quoting that if those elections were not held well in time, what would happen if the few months more delay in the general elections in the country? But the scenario is very confusing,
very unclear.
Because once you breach the constitution, once you do not follow the constitutional requirement, there comes more options for more people to quote those breach of constitution.
Let me go to Irfan Qadir Sahab, who is a legal constitutional expert. Irfan Sahab, can you hear me?
Ji, I can hear you.
Irfan Sahab, legally speaking, there has been a lot of there's divided opinion, mixed opinion on the fact that Mia Saab's return will mean what kind of legal consequences will ensue once he does come. And we saw Shehbaz Sharif Saab confirm today that he will return on the 21st. What is your legal opinion on the legality of his return and his cases earlier on?
As far as Mia Saab's return to Pakistan is concerned, nobody can stop him legally from coming back to Pakistan because this is his country. Now, these legal repercussions which people are generally talking about, that essentially pertains to, just 1 second, there's some disturbance here. Oh, okay. So, just 1 second. There's a call coming. Now, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes. So I was saying that the legal repercussions which are now being talked about is that when Mia Nawaz Sharif left Pakistan, that was pursuant to an undertaking given in the High Court by Mia Shehbaz Sharif that he's not well, and when he'll get well, he'll come back. And that matter lingered on for almost 4 years. And in the meantime, during these 4 years, a number of facts have come to light which pertain to Mia Nawaz Sharif's conviction in Al-Azizia case and in Evanfield case, because these cases, the basis of these cases was Panama case, and the evidence that has now come to light is that Panama case was the result of some political engineering. And apart from that, there were some repeated violations of law by the Panama bench, which eventually led to his conviction. So all those facts can now be challenged in the Supreme Court once the Practice and Procedure Act comes into play in full swing, because just now the Practice and Procedure Act was illegally suspended by the former Chief Justice. But that thing seems to be coming to an end now, and the last hearing probably will be on the coming Monday. and things will then crystallize, because if that was all political engineering and Supreme Court is going to hear this matter once again, so then in that interim relief can be granted to Mian Nawaz Sharif, that yes, he can come back to Pakistan and can also, his appeals can be decided, but as an interim relief, there will be no coercive action, qua his arrest, etc. So this kind of relief he can get not only from the Supreme Court, but also from Islamabad High Court or from Lahore High Court, especially in view of the facts that have come to light during these 4 years, that is during the interregnum while he was away. So that I think there is no legal hitch now, and things are going Mia Saab's way, and he won't have to face any serious hurdle as regards his coming back or as regards his getting a bail or suspension of sentence. He will definitely, or an interim relief from the Supreme Court, he will get all these reliefs, and I think he will be able to participate in the coming elections also.
But will they be before? I mean, he will not have to surrender, in your opinion, as far as jail time is concerned, before? Or do you think that, you know, before he gets a bail, or will it be before that he can get these reliefs that you're talking about?
No, strictly speaking, it is for the executive whether they want to arrest him or not. And if courts also are not very zealous about his arrest, especially when he's coming back to Pakistan to face the cases, so why should he be arrested at all? Because in similar situation many years ago, when Faisal Saleh Hayat was Pakistan's interior minister, his bail was rejected by the Supreme Court. He was granted interim bail, but later Supreme Court rejected his bail. And at that time when he came back, there was widespread perception among the lawyer community that he will be arrested. But when they asked me whether he is to be arrested or not, I was then the Prosecutor General of National Accountability. And I said, no, he will not be arrested. And Faisal Saleh Hayat was not arrested at that time. And same is the position of Mian Nawaz Sharif in the present case. So he should also not be arrested.
Fair enough. Irfan sir, my last question, as far as the issue of delimitation census is concerned, do you think now, where things are at this time, do you think there's a possibility that there may be, you know, a delay from the end January, which is the tentative date that the Election Commission has given? I mean, we don't have an exact date in the field at this time. But in your experience, as far as, you know, now the delimitation is concerned, as far as census is concerned, do you think there's likely to be perhaps a bit more delay? It's possible, isn't it?
I don't think there should be any delay unless there is some political disturbance in the country. Otherwise, if things are normal, there seems no reason why the elections be delayed. I think they should now be held as per the announcement of Election Commission, and the schedule that they are to announce should also be announced during this while, I mean, during the time in which they have already said that they would like to hold elections.
Fair enough. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. Thank
you.
Irfan Sahab, you heard what Irfan Qadir Sahab was saying. He's saying that, you know, it's likely that probably, you know, there are no consequences, and of course it will depend on the decision of the Supreme Court, of course. But overall, in terms of the political parties, in terms of the reliefs that the people are expecting, we are looking at Shahbaz Sharif Sahab talking about his tenure as the Prime Minister, what was done, the kind of firefighting that invariably needed to be done because of where things were. All of those things are in front of the people at this time. How do you think, you know, the public is going to take to that? What is the overall opinion on that?
Mahrukh, Irfan Qadir Sahab is a very senior lawyer, and the way he has been, you know, very sure that before, I mean, Mia Sahab, or once Mia Sahab returns, and he would be given all those reliefs that he has been saying. I don't know, I mean, it's how sure he is, because I mean, the Supreme Court is, of course, Supreme Court, and the cases, some of the cases, I mean, in some of the cases that he was mentioning, he was declared as proclaimed offender. Then he went out of country in the middle of his, I mean, the 7 years jail term. So there are so many legal hurdles, they are there. But of course, I mean, when their legal team, as Shahbaz Sharif Saab today, he has announced that the legal team, they have also given him a go-ahead. So that means maybe behind the scene there have been some understanding, as he has mentioned that it is executive actual. In many instances, if the executive wants, they can have just on an assurance that he's there, he would be facing, you know, whatever the court proceedings would be. Maybe if it is at some level they have some understanding.
But there's a lot that was said earlier on also about a level playing field. Do you think that's what is meant by level playing field, that all political parties, all political leaders should be given that kind of level playing field, that they can, you know, do their campaigning, they can put their case forward and then leave it to the people?
Yes, and then when this term, when we use it, it should not be then selective, you know. I mean, earlier if it was for Mia Saab, you know, 1 year, 2 years back, if it was for Mia Saab, then the other leaders as well, Imran Khan, I mean, he's also convicted, and then would be, if there would be any sort of pick and choose, then the people, they would, and then the results of those elections, you know, having elections on time and then having the elections in a way that they are accept to the stakeholders, that is also very important. And if the elections, if they are held and they are not accepted by all the stakeholders, then of course the uncertainty that we had been seeing in the past, that would continue.
Abid Saab, the controversial, you know, what Irfan Saab is saying is very relevant. Of course, elections being held on time, elections being above, you know, controversiality are also extremely important. The Election Commission has also asked international observers, you know, as I understand, to observe the elections. Do you think that, you know, and the other fact is that all political parties at this time don't seem to think will be able to get a, you know, the kind of majority or the kind of, it seems at this time, we don't know of course for certain, but it doesn't look like any one particular party has that kind of a popularity. Would you agree?
Yes, you are right that some you know, political parties having, for instance, Mia Saab's party, the PMLN and the PTI, they are having their stronghold in the northern Punjab and the central Punjab, or similarly People's Party having its very strong hold in Sindh. But the fact of the matter is, the thing which is very important is that unfortunately we are very fragile democracy. We couldn't put democracy or democratic dispensation, democratic process on, you know, a smooth path, and even not a single elections in Pakistan could held that could be beyond any controversy. People usually do say that the first general elections held in 1970, unfortunately in result of those elections, Pakistan was dismembered. Even those elections were not, you know, fair and transparent. Many fingers were put, many proofs were, you know, put forward by various institutions after the elections, after the formation of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's government. And after that, we couldn't see a single elections where every stakeholder you know, got satisfied, even impartial analysts, international observers, Pakistani media, international media. These fingers were always being raised on the elections. Unfortunately, we couldn't establish. For instance, we have to make a caretaker governments in Pakistan. There is no instance across the world in any democracy, because the institutions are so, you know, smooth functioning, and institution having that much strength that they are beyond any question from any political party, any stakeholders. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, we couldn't, you know, make that much strong democracy or democratic institution. But here in Pakistan, they pick and choose, and that, you know, sort of favoring or having, you know, relationship deals and sort of, you know, favors from various quarters, or particularly from the, you know, the power to be, the elitist system of this country. But we see that the least possible fair elections could held in Pakistan. But again, I would say that so far we are not seeing a very clear picture that elections are going to be held well in time. Unfortunately, there are so many ifs and buts even today that elections would held on time or not, or the political parties are in position to launch a campaign. We have to keep in our consideration that Justice Qazi Faiz Isa He is a strong supporter. He has shown tremendous support to the system, to the democratic system in Pakistan. How the Supreme Court would act if the elections, God forbid, are further delayed, or the smooth functioning or the level playing so-called field has not been given to all the political parties, because this is not only PTI that is...
Even if there is, in your opinion, even if there is level playing field which we're talking about, we're not looking at, like Irfan Sahab was also saying, at this time, we look at different political parties. There are parties that are popular in Sindh, there are parties that are popular in North Punjab. There is a, there is not a one party which one can say is going to be a clear, like you said, the picture is quite murky. And if that kind of a parliament again comes in, of course, ultimately in a parliamentary democracy, it is up to the people and they can choose whoever they want, which is as it should be. But the question is, for certainty, for there to be reform, for there to be the kind of changes that Pakistan needs at this time, we are not going to get those numbers. Isn't it true?
I think it's a very, drastic kind of juncture of our history. The political parties should behave in a very mature manner, as we have seen that more than 13 parties were in power. So this, although this situation was very much different for them, because they were, the country was at the brink of, I would say, the economic crash. Again, this is being expected by the sane brains of the country, by the intelligentsia of the country, that political parties should be mature enough. If no single political parties could get the support of the people of the country, there should be a coalition government, and that coalition government must be beyond political, sort of mileage, but it should be for the sake of country. Because where we are passing through the economy of the country, and the price hikes, and the dollar rate, and the common man, according to the World Bank's report, about 40% plus people are living below the poverty line. So this is the situation which Pakistan is facing right now. I don't think so that political parties should not get some political mileage, political motives, but they should be beyond those political agendas. They should act like the serious elders of the country to get Pakistan out of this, this crisis. And level playing field, I don't think so that in Pakistan ever that ideal situation prevailed. For instance, if the PTI is claiming that they are not being given the level playing field, on the other hand, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, the chairman of Pakistan People's Party, he has also raised some sort of question that in Punjab, in KP, the development projects are being carried out. There is no restriction on them, but in Sindh, the situation is vice versa. There are strictly, completely ban on any sort of running development project, and many other quarters are also raising fingers, raising points that they have not been given level playing field in the country. But I would say that if elections would held in this country, those elections must be credible, those elections must be up to the standards, at least the international observers, the Pakistani watchdogs, the media.
But have you ever had, Irfan Sahab, elections that have been above those kind of what can one say, charges by one party or the other? There have always been aspirations cast on every election. If you look at the 2018 election, if you look at the one before that, there are inevitably those. Are they important in your opinion?
Mahrukh, I think the election day, when we talk about the observers, and we also, as reporters, we had been going to the polling stations, and by and large, on the polling stations, it's quite, fair. But it's pre-elections when, these, the way, the tickets and those things, they are given, and then the political parties, a certain political parties given some sort of extra benefit, some certain parties, if you could recall in 2008 to 2018, in KPK, the situation was that certain political parties, including ANP and People's Party, their candidates were not even there were so many threats and those things. They were not even allowed to campaign. So, and when these 2000 and next elections came, we have seen that the way the ones who are actually the winning horses, electables, the way they switch their loyalties, these trends international observers, if they would be there, they would be looking at the polling stations, what's going on, or what's the steps that the election commission has been taking. And then after the polling, you know, like last time there was some sort of, you know, crash on the system, the counting system, that was crashed. So those things,
RTS system,
RTS system, it crashed. And this time the election commission has been saying some other mechanism they have been adopting. The thing is that along with this technology, the system that we have,
should be above any kind of
and these things,
what can controversiality.
So there won't be any elections in Pakistan in near future where the people would not be raising their voices. It's always in our system that the parties that win, they always claim that this is, you know, they are very fair, but those who lose, they cast doubts. But the thing is that there should be at least some improvement, you know, that those things that have been, you know, in a glaring way, they show that there is certain, you know, to the certain political parties, there has been some sort of, I would call, I mean, the term that is used, an engineered type of sport, that should not be there. So that is one thing. And the other thing is, which is very important, that till now, like Abid Saab was saying, that the election, the political parties, when it comes to, you know, the electioneering and those things, we are not seeing that. More than that is that I haven't seen any political party coming up with some sort of concrete solutions, be it in terms of their manifestos or any team that can, you know, that can provide solutions to the problems that the people have been facing.
If we talk about economy, if we talk about, you know, as far as the problems on the legal side, judicial reforms, any kind of real change.
that is what we should be now focusing, and on media as well. We should be questioning the political parties that, okay, it's not that, you know, most of the political system over here is that just, you know, you try to come to the power. Coming to the power is one thing, and then how would you deliver?
Deal with it.
Because what happens is that in either the elections, one slogan might be that accountability, the other might be insaf, something like that, and then the people, they get disappointed because you don't have a solid sort of plan
because
with you.
We saw even with the last government, if we look at the PTI government, there was, you know, the plan that was supposed to unfold. Abid Saab, you know, as far as if we talk about economy, if we talk about the reform, the changes that, you know, the slogan of change that they came with could not be followed through because there was no real plan in place. Isn't that true?
That was actually a mockery with the people of Pakistan, the way that party was brought into power, and the way those people acted, and still the way those immature, I would say, unfortunately, those people are acting. We see that they are condemning the 9th May actions, and when they were in power, they were using the same kind of you know, jargons. Those you know, the seriousness, the element of the seriousness which required to rule this country, this big country of, you know, 250 million people, that is not you know, a joke. Pakistan to govern this very difficult country, that was not. But unfortunately, this is very much clear now. This has been proved beyond any doubt that some of the you know, the high ups in the institutions, even the judiciary and the military establishment and in media, all those people connived to bring that party into power. But unfortunately, what we are facing today is the result of all those maneuvering that was taken place right from 2013 to 2018, and finally that party was brought into power. But what we have seen after that, that is the, you know, the miserable, the most unfortunate episode of the history of this country.
But regardless of that, also the question for the people of Pakistan should be, who has the plan to lead Pakistan? Like Irfan Saab was saying, you know,
I think these political parties, the PMLN and People's Party, despite so many you know, reservations about them, their failures are there, their mistakes are there, their blunders are there. They have done a lot, you know, wrong things. but they have given much to this country. If we go back into the People's Party's tenure of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the later on Benazir Bhutto, they have given some sort of, benefits to the people of Pakistan. Similarly, Mian Nawaz Sharif, when he was in power, he has shown some maturity, he has shown some sort of skills and some sort of capabilities to deliver to the people of Pakistan. They have developed an infrastructure, they have overcome the shortage of electricity, they have overcome the terrorist activities in the country that was very much damaging this country. But as I earlier said, that there is no ideal situation with these political parties, but at least they are mature. But what we have seen in previous government, the provincial government of Sindh, they have taken so many serious initiatives for the people of Pakistan. Similarly, in previous governments, the PMLN has shown some sort of capabilities to deliver to the people of Pakistan.
But there is at least one new party in the field. If you look at Punjab, and also there are talks of other political parties. We're not, we haven't seen another one crop up yet. But that will also divide the vote considerably, no?
They would do that, but although they are actually the same electables which are, forced to switch over to PTI in last elections after 2013. They started joining PTI, and now they have left PTI when it was in hot water. But those people having some sort of, they're in rural constituencies, they have some support base. But if the bigger political parties could muster the support of the people of this country, there could form a solid government. Unless all the people, all the stakeholders sit together to chalk out a strategy to get Pakistan out of this, this very situation, this very crisis. I don't think so that there would be any solution for one political party or the other political party. This is the time that all stakeholders, because we are somewhere worse than the deathbed. The economy has gone somewhere, even beyond the deathbed. We have faced every crisis what we could face in Pakistan. But now I think it is the time, and I guess and I see some positive initiatives in the institutions, the way the military establishment is cooperating with the civil institution. Some of the actions have been taken to get to fix those people who are responsible or who were responsible for destabilizing Pakistan. Some of the mature actions are being taken against the smugglers, against the money launderers, and the dollars, the people having the hideout. They have
moving on. I want to talk more about that also, as far as deportation of Afghans are concerned. I want to come to that. Those illegal immigrants and deportation itself, that's also creating quite a stir. And there are, we also have with us Dr. Khaqan Najeeb, who's a former advisor to Ministry of Finance. I want to include him. Dr. Khaqan, thank you for joining us. As far as this issue, I want to ask you about the economic impact. Of course, Pakistan remains committed to trying to help as much as possible in terms of humanitarian assistance to our Afghan brethren. But this issue, what it means for Pakistan's economy, and how much of it, the cost of it to Pakistan.
So it's very important to remember that this has a large impact on creating an informal economy in Pakistan. How is that? Pakistan, for example, in the Afghan transit trade, what Pakistan authorities have seen is that there is synthetic fiber, electric equipment, electronics, tire, tubes, tea. These are the main items that were being imported, but they were not being even used in Afghanistan. The trade went up from $4 billion to $6.7 billion this year. This quantum jump was this illegal selling taking place within Pakistan of the items I mentioned to you. So one, these were coming untaxed. Two, there was no custom duty on it. Three, all the dollars that were required to be paid for this were...
We're just going to be taking a short break, after which we'll be right back. Welcome back. Dr. Khaqan, I hope you can hear me after the very welcome news of Pakistan winning the match. I want to resume on, you were telling us about the trade and how much it has suffered because of, the deportation. Of course, that is in field at this time, not because of it, but of course because of the toll that the cost of having illegal immigrants. Isn't that true?
So it's quite true, right? I mean, one, we are bearing the cost in terms of having them here. Two, the Afghan transit trade itself hurts us in terms of the informal economy that gets created because all these items were being sold in the informal economy without tax. Three, the dollars required for the transit trade were also being bought from within Pakistan because they are in a deficit. The export import gap there is also being fulfilled from Pakistan. So all in all, this was not a good scenario for Pakistan. So we've done a number of things, Mahrukh. What we have started with is that we have made sure that what is meant for Afghanistan goes to Afghanistan and the opening of the containers in Pakistan is minimized. Number two, we've issued an SRO 1397, which bans the exact items that I've mentioned to synthetic fiber, electric equipment, tea, tire tubes, which are not needed in Afghanistan, like black tea, and are still being brought under this regime. And they cause a huge loss. The estimates go from 500 billion, 1,000 billion in terms of the lost taxation. The other thing that we've done is that we've asked under an SRO 1380 that we will put a 10% processing fee of the items that go to Afghanistan. And lastly, we've asked them for a bank guarantee that if these items do not get transferred to Afghanistan, then we will utilize that bank guarantee. So we are trying to formalize this trade. We are trying to get out of this business of in our inability to track and trace and these items being sold within Pakistan, which helps our small and medium enterprise because they cannot compete with the iron which is selling in Pakistan untaxed without custom duty in an informal economy. And here's the iron producer of Pakistan trying to put all the parts together, have a small business, pay all his taxes, give his share to the economy, and sell that iron in the market. Truly, and this is the informal economy. So I think it will have a big impact if we are able to push through with this, continue the impetus that we've given. Bharat, one more thing, the dollarization of the economy. Also, part of it came from the fact that the Afghan transit trade goods were being paid for within Pakistan. The trade deficit in Afghanistan is being financed from the dollars from within Pakistan. And this illegal selling in the informal market of Pakistan is also being financed from the open market or the gray market that had been. We were having a dual loss, the informality and the dollarization or the need for the dollars in the country. So the SROs, the curbing of the smuggling, these are now actions that have started. Let's hope that they continue. And if they do, a large part of the informality, I hope, will be curbed as we move along.
But there is also, of course, this is the financial impact, but there's also a very real humanitarian impact to this also, humanitarian cost to this also. Would you agree with that?
Of course. I mean, we have millions of Afghan refugees in Pakistan. We are one of the, largest help that we have extended to them. But not only that, I think in Pakistan we should take responsibility. Even in the national action plan that we did after what happened in the Peshawar incident in the school, we said that we will not allow people without proper ID, proper visas to be able to do all the things that they were doing in Pakistan. But it still continued. I mean, people were buying property, people were investing, people were living here. So all these things were happening. And here, you and me, we get our wage, we pay our taxes, we have an ID card, we have a know your customer a bit that we do. And look at the other side, this completely informal people who, the authorities now call foreign national residing illegally in Pakistan are able to do all this. So part of it is our fault that we should have done this a while ago. But anyway, we are trying to, start this. you don't have a computerized ID card, you don't have a valid visa in Pakistan. Can I go and live anywhere in the world without these two documents? I can't. We are asking the same thing. And I mean, broadly, we are saying it's not meant for Afghan nationals only. It's meant for any nationals living illegally, doing illegal business in Pakistan. That we want to take these measures after November 1. Let's hope that we follow through.
But Dr. Khaqan, isn't it true that, you know, there are people who've been living here for years, illegally, yes, but, you know, who've built lives here, who have children here, who have grandchildren here. When we deport them, isn't there a mechanism to bring them within the system?
So I think partly people, the children who've been brought here, who have, who have been born here, not only brought up here. I think there is some kind of mechanism where they can get settled and they've had an ID card. But then there are, to quote the authorities, millions of individuals who are continuously living for a very long time from across the border without all these documents. So some kind of documentation has to be created. But now I think the our authorities have also met the Afghan authorities. The two foreign officers have engaged. So I'm hoping that they'll come up with a mechanism. Mahrukh, the question also needs to be asked: why don't they want to go back to their homeland? I mean, you know, that's the kind of question that I'm hoping that will be discussed. Besides the stringent legal measures that we are about to take, I think that's the question that needs to be asked, and maybe some kind of settlement can come through.
Right.
And let's hope,
Perhaps.
we
You're
have,
right. I agree with you there. Yes, fair enough. Abid, you know, I have to close, but your quick comments, I believe you wanted to say.
I wanted to add something that Pakistan is an independent sovereign country. We have been helping the Afghan people when they were in crisis, there was war. But how long we can? Now we are passing through a very, you know, sort of crisis-like situation in Pakistan. But how long we can help them without visa, without any documents? They should take visa if somebody wants to get settled in Pakistan.
Right.
The legality should be followed. But,
right, fair enough. Unfortunately, that's all the time that I have. Thank you so much for being with us. Irfan Ghauri Saab, thank you for your time. Dr. Abid Abbasi, thank you for joining us today. Dr. Khaqan Najeeb, thank you for your very valuable input. Irfan Qadir Saab, thank you for joining us today. Overall, of course, you know, Pakistan is committed to ensuring humanitarian assistance, like I said, to Afghans across the border. But whether we can afford to extend this kind of help to illegal immigrants is also a question for the Pakistani authorities. Like Dr. Khaqan said, we are engaging with the Afghan authorities to come to a viable solution, you know, that works out humanly possible for, you know, those living illegally. But of course, we have to look at our own economic situation. We have to look at our own economic realities at this time also. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.